Howdy team, good morning. Hope you're all fantastically well. Today I want to talk to you a little bit about burnout and what actually is burnout and why is it relevant to you and why do you need to even be aware of it? Because we are Saturday. It is that opportunity to review your week. So come and share with me, how's your week been? If you were to give it a little bit of a grading out of 1 to 10, what would you currently give this week that has passed us? So we're going to talk about burnout today. Just a little bit of musing Saturday reviews, as I always do on Saturday, and just share some thoughts with you, because all in all, from this week, I do three things, and I've spoke about this before last week. Good morning, Katie. The three things that I tend to do are review what has gone really well, what has been the biggest challenge this week, and then what can I improve on that I can take forward to next week. And some of the things in terms of what I can take forward can definitely be tasks that have perhaps been left behind. And it's the main thing, I think, when it comes to things like burnout. And I'll talk about what that is in a moment. But it's having people that you can share with and talk to people when you're feeling a wee bit of burnout or when you're feeling tired. And I can definitely say that the things that have gone right this week is I've done all the videos for the 5-day challenge next week. And if you're a financial service professional, any form of business owner or service-based person, you need to be on our Facebook 5-day challenge next week, because we're going to show you our process that you can follow to use. But I've done 2 sessions for Progressive teaching social media on Zoom. I've done my 1-minute Instagram videos where I literally, just the social media hack, choose a headline and just bust out content relating to that headline. Really don't overcomplicate it anymore. Keep it super simple, whatever's efficient for me to do, and you can all do that. And that's part of one of the things that we're going to be talking about on the 5-day challenge. So make sure you do dive on in. Got my Financial Pro website nigh on, finalised, ready for content to be added in with the team. And last week we did an unplanned launch for the Pro Academy, and we had 55 new members join and are now over 150 members as my mentees, which was just insane considering I didn't even plan it and everything. I'm quite a planner, but I just had a bee in my bonnet, woke up, did it. And it often goes to show that sometimes we overcomplicate these things. But actually, it gave me an insight, just as I'm telling you this now. When you don't plan to do something, and it goes really well, but if you're pushing a particular product, or if you're going through a marketing launch, or if you're going through the process of setting up your social media and being consistent with your social media, it can often become to a point where it becomes a little bit overwhelming, or you start to feel like you're getting exhausted from doing it. Let me know if that's something that you felt when starting out on social media or putting a marketing message out there. So although there's been lots of things that have gone really well this week, my challenge has definitely been feeling more exhausted for the first time since we've been in lockdown. Now, I said to my wife yesterday that we've been going to bed at 10:30 rather than 10 o'clock, which doesn't sound like a lot, but over the course of a week, that's 3.5-ish hours that are actually being lost, and 3.5 hours of extra sleep. Particularly if you have a kid or a couple of kids or anything like that who have a couple of bad nights, that lack of sleep and that lack of routine can then cause you more issues in terms of how you're feeling in yourself. Because I think the feeling of burnout is one where you start to feel a little bit emotionally, a little bit physically, and a little bit kind of mentally exhausted. And I generally feel like this. And looking at my own business journey, roughly every 90 days. And it's why I like to take 10 days off, 7 to 10 days off, every 90 days, because it just gives you that chance. You're still thinking about business. Your brain's still absolutely wired. You still never, you never really switch off as a business owner. Good morning, Sue. And having that fresh time just to sit back and relax and do nothing. And it's why I'm such a big fan of actually getting out of the UK, because it completely takes you out of the norm for a week, every 90 days at least, or doing something to give yourself that opportunity. But the problem is when you start to feel, or when I start to feel, and maybe you felt this too, some form of emotional or physical or mental exhaustion, or maybe a combination of all three, that just adds more stress to your life. And, you know, I've had an amazing week this week, but I can definitely feel that this morning and last night at 4 o'clock, I was doing my Facebook training for my social media training for Progressive between 2 and 4. And I actually said to the technical lady, Felicity, who manages it all, I said to her afterwards, she messaged me, was like, that was a great session, blah, blah, blah. I actually said, did I come across really tired? Because 5 o'clock yesterday afternoon, it was game over. I could feel myself being absolutely knackered, and that having a massive impact. And I think more often than not, I think burnout is different for everybody because it's one of those three things, an emotional or physical or a mental kind of element of exhaustion. But making sure that you allow yourself to have the time off is what's going to give you the opportunity to take a step back, but give yourself the brain space and give yourself time to just do other things. Because especially when you do something that you absolutely love, you're giving value to other people, you're doing it for benefit of other people. You know, taking some time off and just playing with the kids and doing nothing and watching a movie and not having your phone next to you and all of that kind of stuff is, I think, really important. And I've done a couple of weekdays this week. I think Wednesday was an 8 till 8, bar having dinner with the kids for an hour at 5 o'clock. But it's because I was loving what I was doing. And it's easy to love what you are doing, but also it's going to affect you later. You know, if you look at exercise as a perfect example to this, if you were to train all day, every day, and then you got up and did it the next day and the next day, it's going to give you the feeling that you are, it's going to knacker you out. You can't train physically all day, every day. You know, unless you've got massive habits around that or your body is built for it. And everybody's rest and recovery and rest and reset, as Gemma says there, is different. Everyone has a different level of thresholds. You all have a different threshold to what you can manage and what you can do. And this is why comparisonitis is so annoying, because if you constantly look at somebody who's, you know, miles ahead or got a massive business or anything along those lines, you don't know what goes on behind the scenes. You don't know the stress and stuff that they're going through. You don't know the hustle and the grind and the sacrifices that they're potentially making. But equally, they have probably got a team of people who do 5 or 6 different things that you aren't able to leverage. And this is where, particularly when you're starting out in your journey, balance and time off and having core priorities is what's going to keep you both mentally and physically sane, to be honest. So Katie, you're literally describing me this week. I need a beach and a cocktail right now. I'm coming in your suitcase if you manage to go. Sue's been busy this week with clients feeling exhausted. And I think it's right. I think, you know, you think about the time that this has been going on now. We're 12 weeks into lockdown. It's that 3-month point. It's reaching that point now where people are starting to probably feel the effects of having been in lockdown more so than ever. Because what do you do for time off? You don't. And I couldn't just sit at home and do nothing all the time. I've definitely got to take my foot off the gas a little bit next week and allow myself a few hours less. Maybe I'll work a little bit in the morning and take some afternoons off from 3 o'clock with the kids as a means to give myself the freedom and the flexibility. But that's difficult to do when you've got a new course that you're launching, when you've got a team of people, when you've got 150 plus mentees that you really want to help and serve and get them the best result. And I think actually Sue and I spoke about this before, and she said it's very easy to fall into the trap of doing loads of things for other people and actually forgetting about yourself. And I think that's one real key message, is to realise where your brain is at in relation to your state at any point in time. Ricky did 23 hours the other day and 20 the day before. Fairfax Duo, get some rest. Yeah, mate. It's long days though, but could you sustain 23 hours and 20 hours the other day? You know, for me, I would never want to do a day that's 23 hours. I don't have any reason to kill myself that much by working 20, 23 hours of a day. There's nothing that I'm that passionate about. Even if I'm massively passionate about my coaching and mentoring and my mortgage business, but nothing's going to keep me working for 23 hours or even 20 hours. Like, what is the necessity? Why can't that wait until tomorrow, Ricky? Especially with the size of team that you've got, I'm interested in what would keep you working for 20, 23 hours of a day. And when I always think of this, I think of like the picture of President Obama before he became president. He looked young, he looked youthful, he had good skin. And then by the end of his president period, he absolutely looked screwed. He had aged 20 years. He had decided, his hair had gone grey. And it's just like sleep, nutrition, exercise, balance, time on as much as time off. Work hard, play hard is so important. People have done so well dealing with lockdown, but it's starting to take its toll, especially on business owners. Yeah, I'm with you, Sue. I think it's going to catch up on quite a few people. I think it's quite good actually that in the next couple of weeks people are going to be allowed to go back to their offices, because it gives us a different room and a different perspective and somewhere different to hang out, rather than just being stuck at home all the time. I'm actually really enjoying being at home, but I'm really looking forward to having the garden office built. And check this out. The brother-in-law is mixing it up for the second half, getting the cement mixer going for the garden office that is going to be down the end. It's about 20 foot by 12 foot. And I'm really excited to have that because I've had an office since 2009. And actually, I don't need an office because my whole team are completely remote, but it gives me somewhere different to go that's my space, that's like going to work and not being in the house, in the playroom / office. So I think that's going to be really important. Johnny said, I think it's about time management and using the time you are most productive, taking regular breaks. Definitely, Johnny. I've been really good at that over the course of the last couple of weeks, having at least 4 breaks throughout the day. In the morning, lunchtime, mid-afternoon, and then dinner with the kids. And then doing a little bit after that, but really trying to take that self-care and that self-attention. And I think in order to be able to be better next week, I can't stop. That's definitely the one thing I can't do, particularly with the current environment. The only way I can stop is if I go abroad. And then it's just a case of doing a couple of hours. But I think burnout is a real thing. I think you all have a different threshold to it. And I think actually that threshold tends to change as you build your business and as you take on more stuff. And it will be bigger the more people you have on your team, because you're managing more people. And I think it's really important that even though you are giving a shitload of value to the world, and even though you're doing everything in sight of others, you need to allow yourself some balance in terms of taking a weekend off, having some time, getting out of the house, doing something completely different. You need to take that time off is also really, really important. You need to talk to people where you possibly can, and just allow yourself that freedom and that flexibility. I'm by no means burnt out, but I'm definitely noticing that going to bed at 10:30 instead of 10 has affected my energy levels at the back end of this week. I'm definitely noticing that I'm getting to the point where I'm feeling like I need to sprint, even though I don't need to sprint. And I need to get back to that level kind of playing field, not plateau, but consistency, rather than like an exercise, like it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. You can't do 100 meters all the time. You have to treat it like a marathon. And I'm hit that point this week where I'm starting to sprint a little bit, which is why I'm feeling more emotionally and physically and mentally drained. But I'm going to get back to my point where it's more consistent, a little bit slower, but more effective over the long haul. And I think this is why Saturday reviews of your previous week are so important. What's gone well? What has been a challenge for you? And what can you improve on next week? Every Saturday, religiously. Here's my book where I go through, and I think this is one thing where journaling is really, really key. And I'm going to give this a try next week. I'm going to do, before I finish my day, at the end of every day, I'm going to do a little bit of a reflection and put that onto my paper, and then I'm going to share that with you next Saturday and almost do a diary of a business owner across the course of the week. So I hope you have a fantastic weekend. I hope you allow yourself time to rest, recuperate and recover. I hope that you realise that if you act like a sprinter all the time, you will screw yourself up. So there's times to sprint, but there's times to recover. This week has been a sprint, which means I'm taking the week to recover. The weekend, maybe just today, do a little bit more tomorrow. And then we'll get back into the marathon. There's no need to be sprinting. There's just a need to be key. There's a need to be consistent. So hope you all have a fantastic week. I hope that you keep doing all the things that you need to get done, but allowing yourself that freedom and flexibility to switch off. If you need any help or assistance in relation to any of this, then I'm always here. But have a great day. I am now going to go and do a little spin, put some music on and chill out. Love you all. Peace out. Remember, now's the time to become pro.